Hey everybody, we are doing a special segment where we are interviewing two of the candidates from the Hannibal runoff election. And I have the privilege of interviewing the first candidate, April Azotea. Thank you for joining me, April.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to, again, we're interviewing April right now, and then we're going to be interviewing her opponent, Tammy Riley, in the next segment over. Bob will be interviewing her. I look forward to seeing what's to come of it, because this is, it's come to light like a lot of, it's not just that easy, is
No,
it?
it's not. And there's a reason why nobody wants to run for city council or leave before their term is done. There is a reason. You don't see a lot of people raising their hand like, yep, all excited to sign up. I went back and forth about myself wanting to sign up, but
I can understand why. So I do have a couple formal questions for you.
Sure.
And I would like the viewer to be able to understand a little bit more, one, about the election, like I said, and two, more about you. So you were the leading vote getter on April 8th.
yes.
What have you been doing to attempt to win this runoff? I guess, like, let me take it back real quick and let's explain to the viewer what a runoff is.
Okay, so there was a lot of confusion about this because I think people just like assumed, oh, she had the most votes, she won. So the way that our charter is, and I will say this, there's a lot of things on our charter that are very, very outdated, and if elected, that is going to be one of the things, like circling back.
Okay.
And it's actually one of the things that I talked to our new mayor, Daryl McCoy, about, that there's just many things that need changed, modified, fixed. That would be one of them. So a runoff is, regardless of how many people are running for whatever ward or position, you have to have 50% or more of the votes. And so even though I had the most actual votes, I was at 46% of the votes.
Oh, wow.
And so then when that happens, then a special election is called, and then it's down to the two people. So hypothetically speaking, if there was more than three, it would be down to whoever had the most votes. And then that goes to a special election runoff.
So if this particular ward, we're talking about Ward 2, this ward had 3 candidates. So that is why the runoff would happen, because you have 3 candidates, I would assume.
Yes.
If you have 4, is it like automatically a runoff, like you were saying? Can you have 4 candidates?
I don't believe that there's a limit to how many candidates you can have, but regardless of how many candidates, the winner has to have 50% or more of the votes, period. Even if they have significantly more like actual physical votes than everybody else. And that's something that I was saying that could potentially be modified in the future, because one of the articles you guys did, and I feel like a lot of people took it the wrong way when I was saying this is going to cost the city money. It wasn't about me saying, oh, I had the most votes, this is going to cost the city money, I should win. That wasn't the case at all. I think where my frustration lied was I knew that the third candidate had signed up because he felt like nobody should run unopposed. Respect.
Yeah.
But then I feel like once he found out she wasn't running unopposed, we have 3 weeks to drop out of running before you actually are on the ballot. And so he had 3 weeks to do that. So that's kind of where my frustration lied, because it's going to end up costing the taxpayers money. And that's where that comment went to you guys.
Yeah, I would also, push back and say, like you said, when costing money, it's the runoff is costing people money, because it's a totally separate vote than maybe changing the ordinance or rule of the 50% or more.
Right. And so everybody's like, wait, are we voting on, and there's actually a lot of people that still don't even know about this runoff or that they have to vote again, and people are kind of addressing that on social media. But this isn't voting on the mayor again or voting on 4th Ward again. This is strictly just 2nd Ward.
Okay,
it's a special election, and that's what the runoff is.
2nd Ward, let's talk a little bit about that real quick. It technically covers, I believe, the downtown area.
Yes.
What is the importance behind this ward?
Gosh, that's a loaded question, but
I know.
I think one is important to me because I didn't want to just run as a concerned citizen, but as a business owner. I am a small business owner on Main Street, and unfortunately the business owners can't vote in this, which is kind of wild, but you have to vote where you're registered, like your residency.
Okay. It's just like that is here in Quincy.
For myself, I am currently living above the lounge. That is my residency. I've been there for almost 2 years now, regardless of the allegations and things that have been said. I have been there for almost 2 years now. I'm a very private person. And so, no, I didn't like go on social media like airing that out. But I am downtown all the time. I see the ins and outs, what's happening at night, the festivals, everything. And there's several things, even in regards to festivals and events downtown, that I would like to change. I've said it time and time again. Hannibal has so much potential, it makes me sick. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people are just kind of like closed-minded and have that mentality of if it's not broke, don't fix it type thing.
Is that the most pressing issue for Hannibal? If not, what is?
The number one issue with Hannibal specifically, and that will be my number one priority, is the budget.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that need changed, and it's so overwhelming because I'm the type of person that I'm just like, I want to try to do it all, you know? That's how I've always been. But with so many things needing to be addressed right away, like the priority has, my number one priority personally has got to be the budget.
Do you mean actual, like, crunching numbers, transparency? What do you mean in regards to the budget?
So in regards to the budget, there's just a lot of things that have been not addressed and or swept under the rug under the years, and overspending, just several things. There's always room for improvement with a lot of things, and so if elected, you know, I am going to go in and sit down with the mayor, council, everybody, and kind of, which I've already kind of done, but each department has room to like cut wherever they can, and I know certain departments they can't cut anymore, you know, but there's also overspending. And so something I was talking about with a citizen last night, because since the runoff, I've still continued to go door to door and circle back to the ones that haven't been home from the first round and basically try to speak to as many citizens as possible. But something that was addressed was, why are there so many condemned houses? There's houses that have been on the condemned list for years and years and years. And that's the thing, is unexpected expenses come up that is out of the city's control that have to be addressed. So money that might have been allocated to go to tearing down a house, you know, that gets put on the back burner to address something in need right now. And so that's why I kind of was like stressing about the importance of keeping that money in the reserve and keeping our bond rating up. Because once that's gone, like, it takes time to build that back up and get that bond rating back up.
Okay, so also, sorry, the tone of the campaign changed, obviously. Mike Dobson presented some documents to you at a meeting. What were those documents?
So I never actually saw them. He kind of like abruptly like held them up at the conservative forum. And
what was the conservative forum?
So there was a conservative forum on a Monday evening at the Legion, and the very next day, the chamber had a forum, and it's basically where you can get to know the candidates running. So it was the two candidates running for mayor, 4th Ward, and then 2nd Ward. And it gives the public the opportunity to ask questions. The chamber forum the next day, they didn't ask questions. We just basically were able to introduce ourselves, talk about what our goals were, and what we wanted to make our priority. But this...
So that's where these papers were presented to you?
Well, they weren't presented to me. I never actually... Yeah, I never actually saw them personally.
Did he wave papers in the air?
Yeah, he was...
But you didn't see what they were?
I didn't.
What were your feelings when that was happening? Because, I mean,
so
you've reported that you were surprised. How surprised were you?
Very surprised, because I literally had no idea what he was talking about. And he was claiming that the state came in, or first he said the state came in, and then that night there was so much posted on social media on behalf of this conservative group, which the next day when I had addressed it at the chamber meeting, somebody from the conservative group came up and like asked to, you know, see these screenshots, and I said, yeah, I'm more than happy to show you. I've tried to cooperate with any news station that has contacted with me. I have nothing to hide, nothing to lie about.
Did you need to present those documents to them when they asked you for that? Like, or did you just do that?
So his allegations, I genuinely knew nothing about, and that's why I said twice, and the mayor has since brought up at a council meeting saying, you just said twice, this is news to me, because it was literally new. I had no idea what he was talking about. And in my mind, him saying the city came in and shut me down in November, like, I figured I would have gotten a letter, notified by somebody, you know, something. And I knew nothing about what he was talking about. So the next couple days, between making phone calls to the city, my accountant in the state, being on hold with the state for hours and hours, trying to figure it out, finally got to the bottom of it. So my sales tax that I pay in for my business, I do it monthly. And so for whatever reason, the 2 payments that I sent in for November, the month of November 2021 and the month of October 2022, they were shorted. And so it wasn't that I don't pay my taxes or I didn't pay my sales tax. Mm-hmm. The 2 payments that I sent in were shorted for whatever reason, and I wasn't notified. And him saying that the city came in and shut me down, the last 2 winters I've shut down. Hannibal is a very touristy town. So it actually cost me more money to be open in the wintertime than to just be closed.
So you were not shut down for those reasons?
No, I was absolutely not shut down for those reasons. And I had no idea what he was talking about. But as soon as I found out, I called, got to the bottom of it, and got it taken care of right away.
Realized the issue and recognized it immediately and took care of it immediately.
Absolutely.
I understand. But most recently, it was brought to your attention that somebody is trying to disqualify you altogether.
For multiple reasons.
So, what can you tell me about that?
So I just know based on what I have been sent, what certain individuals are saying, that I didn't pay for my merchant's license, that I owe personal property tax. There's just been so many. I feel like. So
just are all these just allegations?
So I've since, again, called, and I'm like, do I owe this? Do I owe that?
Double checking,
yes,
dotting your I's,
yes.
crossing your T's.
Because that is the city clerk's job, to check into this to make sure certain people qualify, which is why the 3rd candidate for mayor ended up having to drop out from the race.
So the city clerk has already qualified you.
So one of the individuals that is saying I should be disqualified, saying that I owe personal property tax, is the county collector. Her name is Donna Gooden, and she is claiming that I owe personal property tax. But ironically enough, the city clerk says she's the one that qualifies people, saying that they don't owe personal property tax. So she's actually the one that...
So she already passed you, but now she's trying to pull you back?
Yes.
Interesting.
And trying to disqualify me.
Interesting. Well, yeah, very interesting. Quincy had a recent campaign that became contentious, and quite frankly, that side did most of the losing, if you will. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's a good sign that maybe people are tired of this crap?
Well, I will say this. You know, I'm originally from Quincy, but Quincy and Hannibal are very, very different. I've had that conversation with many people, and every city and government is completely different. Mm-hmm. Your guys' charter is laid out a little bit different than ours. Mm-hmm. Your guys' budget is a lot bigger than ours. But I feel like they've gone out of their way to kind of tear me down, make things difficult for me, and kind of paint me in a bad light. And it's been super frustrating, but at the end of the day, I went into this and I said to myself, I want to run a fair, clean campaign, no matter what they did, no matter what they said.
No mudslinging.
I have nothing. I truly have nothing to hide, and I know where my heart lies, and I'm doing this for the right reasons. And if they want to try to take that away from me, more power to them. Mm-hmm. But I have nothing to hide. I'm doing it for the right reasons, and I'm not going to stoop to their level and kind of do what they've been doing to me.
Good for you. Like we have said, I've known this. I've known her forever, and when she says for the right reasons, my thought is you've just been talking about this forever. You've been thinking about doing this forever. It wasn't just I'm going to do it. You've literally talked this out for the last 10 years because you've been pretty involved in the community. I think almost everyone in the Hannibal area knows your name.
I don't know if it's a good thing or bad.
Good or bad, honestly. I think sometimes, for the bad is sometimes for the good, because you're known for stirring it up and, bringing things to light.
Well, and that's the thing is, I know that sometimes people can take what I say the wrong way, because sometimes I think that when I'm overly passionate about something, it can kind of come off the wrong way or aggressive. But
So
a
it's
lot
not
of people
drama,
don't. Well, but
this
a
is
lot of people
passion.
don't know the backside of what they've done and said to me, and how they've made things difficult for me in other situations. So there's a lot of things that the public don't even know. But one, not only was I not planning on doing this, I literally decided 2 days before the deadline. What they have put me through the last 2 years is one thing in itself. So I knew going into this that I was going to be attacked, and that was something that in my mind was worth risking in order to try to be on council for the citizens.
When you were saying like what they have put you through, a question real quick. Ordinances, I know, both help and inhibit communities sometimes, depending on who you ask, how long ago they were written, like you were just saying. What would be one of the ordinances that you would influence to change?
Wow. Again, a loaded question, because I feel like there's a lot of things in our charter that are very, very outdated and either need completely changed, fine-tuned, fixed in some way. I feel like there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of ordinances that are very, very muddy clear, and I'm kind of going to be partial to this. Our open liquor license there is still extremely muddy clear, and it's still that got passed a couple years ago. It's frustrating from a small business owner's point, and the small businesses, bars and restaurants that have been affected by this, and just the pushback that a lot of us got from the city and things being so confusing. In my mind, it should have never been passed.
What got passed? Could you tell me?
Yeah, so our city passed that you can walk around with open alcohol from a certain point down to the river.
And then they took
which
it
you
away.
can,
Oh,
which you
no?
can, but they cannot leave our business with open alcohol. So you can come in and you can get a bottle of Bud Light unopened, take it outside of our business, outside of where our liquor licenses are lined off, and then open it and walk and drink. But you can't take it opened and go out.
That is muddy.
It is extremely muddy clear. And it's kind of funny because we're on the muddy news.
On the muddy news, on the muddy river. I did just see a sign recently with the liquor open licenses while I was downtown, and I thought to myself, I thought they did away with that. So thank you for clarifying that.
And
but then again,
several businesses
it's
have
muddy,
been fined and affected by it for something that, we were told this is going to be allowed, and then we start doing it. And then some of the bars and restaurants, they got fined. They almost lost their liquor license. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, that is huge, and such a simple thing to rectify. Like you said, just clarify.
St. Charles has it.
Muddy. Yeah. Make it a little less muddy. Love
muddy.
that. Anything else that you want to add? What would be basically your plans for constituent service? And how do you plan on representing your constituents?
Just in Second Ward?
Yes.
So I feel like this is every single ward. Everybody, you hear about it in Quincy too. Potholes, sidewalks, streets, alleys, things that need cleaned up. And I know that.
How are they going to be able to get a hold of you?
This is one thing that my word is everything to me. And that is what I am, if given the opportunity, happy to be able to show the citizens in the community, is like my words and actions will always go hand in hand. And I've said from the beginning of this campaign, I don't care if you're not in Second Ward, and if you can't get a hold of the person in your ward, which has been a concern and frustration for a lot of citizens in many, many wards, like I want to make myself available to any citizen in the community. There's been a lot of feedback and allegations in regards to political parties. But one thing that I want to make crystal clear, not muddy clear like certain ordinances, but crystal clear, is that city council is nonpartisan. And to me, I don't care what your political beliefs are, because at the end of the day, the citizens are a mixture of Democrat and Republican. I want what is best for all the citizens. And there's been a lot of backlash because I have been deemed one party or the other. And I know essentially it has cost me votes. But I've also said many, many times, I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time. I've stopped at a lot of houses where people aren't home. But if anybody has a question or concern, I'm an open book. Like, I have no reason to lie, nothing to hide about. I love talking about my goals, not only for our ward specifically, but for a community as a whole. And it takes teamwork to make the dream work. You know, the citizens and the council, everybody needs to be like working together to do what is best for the community as a whole. So
How do they get a hold of you?
So if elected, I will have a city email as well as a phone number posted available for people to contact me. As far as like contacting me right now, they can reach out to me on social media or via email at April4Ward. I know it sounds like forward, but forward2 at Yahoo.
APRIL number 4.
No, 4 FOR.
Okay.
April4Ward2 at yahoo.com.
I got it. I like it. It's good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
to
for
help
having me.
clear these muddy waters.
Yes, lots of mud. Mudslinging and muddy, clear ordinances.
Thank you. Thank you. Coming up next, we'll hear from April's opponent, Tammy Riley.
All right, thanks, Brittany. Now I am talking to Tammy Riley, who is also running for that 2nd ward seat. Thanks for coming across the river.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Obviously, you know, you had an election where you finished just a few votes, like 17 votes behind Ms. Azotea, and so then there's a third person. He didn't make the runoff, so now it's down to you two. How is running for this different than running for that?
It's been a lot more public, a lot more publicized. For a small election, a lady at the gas station today, she said you'd think it was a presidential election because it's just been so highly publicized. And I don't know, I've received unexpected blessings of support, honestly, and I've met a lot of great people throughout this adventure, I'll call it.
Yeah.
It's been a great experience. I didn't expect a runoff, of course, but you know, both sides, all sides, directions are bringing in support, and it's a blessing.
I want to ask about, I really, as again, I think all campaigns should be focused on the city and all that stuff, but we're going to get the campaign junk out of the way first. Yeah. And again, I mean, you know, this, as the campaign goes along, I think, you know, this thing all started when we start talking about people's past and histories and records and things like that. I guess this all started when, you know, Mike Dobson sort of stood up that conservative forum and went, hey, here's this. So, and again, I don't know who gave him the stuff. I don't know. I mean, again, we can speculate all day long or whatever, but obviously he wasn't supporting your opponent. So, and then that happens, and it's this domino effect. That's so, I don't think it's best for the race.
It's not. It's very unfortunate. We had several businesswomen in this election, and it's just sad that we can't run an election on merit and experience and qualifications rather than taking it elsewhere.
What have you told? Obviously, I publicized something that one of your supporters said to me. What have you told your supporters? Have you told them to knock it off or tone it down?
I try to just stay out of that. My focus is on winning the 2nd ward and supporting the people of the 2nd ward and Hannibal, for that matter.
But I mean, I guess the one thing, like you said, though, is if, you know, and I've read some of the Facebook stuff or whatever, and again, I think I wish candidates would just focus on that, and I wish they would also ask their supporters to do that. But again, you can't. I know you can't control what people do.
Right.
But
right.
I would still.
I stay off of Facebook as much as possible.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
You know, I work 7 days a week, full time. And I'm trying to campaign. Yeah. So my focus is elsewhere.
And again, I guess, like I said, once her business issues were brought up, and then we made the calls about your stuff and all that, again, I would like to just focus on fixing potholes and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Sidewalks, abandoned buildings.
Yes.
You know, focus on the things that matter for a city as a whole, not a single person, and what has happened or not happened. Focus on the city.
Yeah, and again, I think that's something that not only the candidate should remember, but I think anybody that's involved should also remember. I mean, you can support a candidate without tearing down the other candidate.
Absolutely.
You really can.
Absolutely.
And that's what people should be focused on. That's my opinion. But again, I think if you're running for the right reasons, which is what can we do for the city and the future of Hannibal, that's where we should be.
Absolutely.
So should you win Tuesday, what are your plans? What would you like to see the city accomplish?
I would like to see a balanced budget, of course. The two main priorities is a balanced budget, finding a new city manager, cohesiveness, throughout. As a second ward councilman, hopefully, I would like to be available for the people, to listen to them, to let them be heard. Even monthly gatherings would be great, so they can, compile a list together that I can present to the rest of the council, and as a whole, we can do what's best for the city.
I think that that's a very noble cause, and I think that's what everybody should do. And I think that a lot of this city government and city council's issues have been self-inflicted the last couple of years.
They're not their best friends.
With the lawsuits and all this kind of stuff. And I think the fact that changing of a city manager is an opportunity to turn a page. I don't know yet if Andy Dorian has expressed interest in being the guy for long term or not. But again, once you get a new mayor in, and once you get, I think, two new aldermen seated?
Two new,
councilmen.
yes.
Two, okay?
Yes, 2 councilmen and a mayor.
So once you're seated, once Mr. McCoy is seated, then I guess that's when those decisions get made. Do you, the relationship, what kind of relationship have you had with some of the existing councilmen in discussions you've had with them?
I don't know any of them personally.
Okay.
I've had issues that I've taken before them before, and they've all been cordial.
Okay. Well, and again, I think then, obviously, again, the council will be fully involved in a city manager and trying to move that forward. The form of government, when we talk about the pressing issues, I think, you said the balanced budget, which of course is very important. Right. And you have to make hard choices on whether you cut spending or whether you increase taxes, and nobody wants to increase taxes. I understand that. But you have to be able to go in, don't you think, to look at everything in a budget and say,
Exactly.
okay, how do we make this work?
Exactly. It's running a business. You look at every line item, and you do what's best.
Okay. Well, and again, I think that, like I said, as this is airing in just a couple of days before the primary, I certainly hope that everybody works hard this weekend to get their campaign out, and everybody just stays on focus. When somebody comes to your door, be kind and answer their questions. And again, I hope the people who are going door to door are also doing the same
absolutely.
thing and being very, hey, this is why I'm voting for this person,
Right.
because that's what it should be all the way around.
It should be.
So, okay, well, again, I hope that as we head this thing down the stretch, best of luck to you coming
Thank
up
you.
on Tuesday.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. That's all the
Thank
time
you.
we have for now. And thanks for watching Muddy River News.